Speaking of defense giving somebody a chance to win, talk about the Oklahoma Sooners getting blasted by the Texas Longhorns. Quinn Ewers looked rusty in this game early. They only scored the three, or they're held off the board in the first quarter, but then all of a sudden, bang, 21 points in that second quarter, and it was over. As soon as it goes to 21-3, it was done. Oklahoma had no chance at that point. Michael Hawkins just in over his head. They don't have the skill players around him right now. I mean, it's just tough. It's really tough. Oklahoma, that offense is just not good. It's just not good. Texas, I know how good you are. I mean, we've seen how good that Texas defense is, but this was just a blasting. They got obliterated in this game. And look, credit to Texas. Quinn Ewers looked better as the game went on, and that's a good sign, especially with the looming matchup coming up next week. But it's been 4 weeks. He doesn't hit that 200-yard mark, but they don't really need to because the defense does most of the work in this one.
Yeah, it's funny. I sent you a text like, oh, Quinn Ewers, like Rusty, look at, this is what we talked about if Oklahoma's going to have a chance. And then it's just like no offense. And it was of the big games, and it felt big. It looked big. There was just no juice to it because and that was the question I asked you, like, what's the path to victory for Oklahoma? And you spewed some nonsense about how on the field this could happen. And like, we both know we're like trying to make it interesting, but like it was 34-3, man. Like it just wasn't interesting. There was just no path to victory for Oklahoma. And the game played out that way, despite a slow start for the Texas offense. Once Quinn Ewers kind of got settled, and he gets settled for a couple of reasons, right? Obviously, he takes a couple hits, he gets a couple snaps, and you're kind of back in the flow of thing. I think he also realized, like, hey, I don't have to take chances. Like, this team can't drive the ball. And if we have to punt, then I think that's okay. I think he's played after that first mistake. I think he settled down and played a relatively smart game, not taking too many chances, not putting the ball in danger, stuff like that. And they just ran away with it. They dominated. You can look at the passing totals all you want. This was a game full of screen passes and short routes, and Texas made it work, and they absolutely killed Oklahoma in doing it. We'll see how Georgia handles that next week. But, yeah, there was no path to victory when this game started, and throughout the game, there was no path to victory for Oklahoma. So, bravo, tip of the cap to Texas for doing what they're supposed to do and manhandling a lesser opponent. Good job.
Yeah, and look, these are the types of trap games that pop up, and yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, they did exactly what they needed to do. They suffocated this Oklahoma offense. Not that the Oklahoma offense needed a lot of help in order to get suffocated, but you have 5 wide receivers who are out with injuries. It's just too much for Michael Hawkins and company, and like they just have nothing really going. But Texas does find a little bit of success on the ground. Wisner was able to get the ball rolling a little bit. You're going to need a rushing attack to build up for next week. That's going to be very important for this team because you're not just going to be able to drop back and pass like you did against some of these other opponents that you played this year, especially this Oklahoma team. You're going to need to be very balanced in what you do next week. Next week is going to be a lot of fun. I'm fascinated for next week because this Georgia team has not looked super great here as of late over the last couple of weeks. They've just looked a little bit sloppy. Texas has looked anything but sloppy for the most part. You have the kind of rough first half against Mississippi State that they had a couple of weeks ago, but outside of that half, this is a Texas team that's rolling, and they're playing some of their best football, and they knew that this game was over at the end of the second quarter.